Everyone, my name is Amanda Sweet. I'm the Creative Fairy Godmother, and you're watching the Let's Glow Show. Every week, we bring amazing creatives, artists, business owners, and just wonderful human together to talk shop, talk about life, advice, tips, all that good stuff. And today is no different. We have an amazing guest here today. Victoria is here. She's a special effects artist, 3D artist, all of the things in the digital world. Victoria, welcome to the Let's Glow Show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Tell everybody what you do, because I feel like every time I say it, I'm like, am I saying it right? Am I including all of the things? Because you're just an all-around artist.
Yeah, I'm a post-production artist. Actually, I do video editing, motion graphics, VFX, 3D. I mostly specialize in motion graphics and 3D, pretty much.
Tell us what that means.
Okay, so VFX is visual effects. So it's all those fun effects that you see in movies. So like plasma balls or stuff being lit on fire, which isn't actually lit on fire. Motion graphics is more like graphic design, but it moves. So those fun letters. And 3D is like 3D animation. Okay. So for example, like Pixar and, Disney's now doing 3D. So those are some examples.
How did you get into this field? Because I feel like I don't know many people doing what you do. You're not the first person that I met, but you're the first person that I met that is a full-time entrepreneur and freelancer. So I'm just curious, what led you to this world?
Actually, when I was in 4th grade, to be honest. So I've been doing art for such a long time.
Whoa.
Yeah, I used to draw comics when I was in 4th grade, and I didn't actually really take it seriously until high school because it was the only thing I was like really good at. So yeah, I rolled in a bunch of art classes. Yeah, of course, I did comic books in high school too. I actually still have some of them to this day. Yes, I keep like an old high school portfolio. And yeah, what happened was actually I ended up enrolling in animation school in the US for like half a year. I went to the Art Institute of Michigan, Troy, and then I quit because originally I wanted to go to Japan to study because Japan is like the animation capital of the world. So, but a downside of Japan is that when you're a student on a student visa, you can't work. And I come from a low income family. So every dollar I earned was my money. Like that's how I was paying for school. So it would have been hard because like, especially school in Japan is like 10,000 K per year. And I wouldn't be allowed to work. So I ended up enrolling in Poland. I moved to Poland when I was 18 years old and enrolled in animation school over there. And I finished. Going to Poland and going to university there. It was definitely different because it was my first time out of the country. So literally it was kind of funny because like I told my parents like, oh, I'm gonna go to school abroad, and my mom was furious. She's like, you better tell your dad. And I was scared of telling my dad, so I told him, and he was just like, fine, go ruin your life. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like that was easy. Yeah.
Okay, so like, can we talk about your background a little bit? Because I feel like this is important. As someone who is like a first generation on one half of my family, I feel like, so like, what is your background? Where are your parents from? I know we've talked a little bit about where you're from and you've been all over, but let's give everybody some context because I feel like that's important.
Yeah, I'm first generation. My dad is from Iraq. He's Chaldean. So a little context into that. A lot of Chaldean families, you don't leave home until you're married. And my mom is Nicaraguan. So like she at the time she was a single mom because my parents were divorced. And, she was also new to this country. She came here when she was 17 and she relied a lot on my dad. So, it was very different. And she was really, I feel like, worried for me now that I think about it.
Probably. Are all parents. Okay, so your parents were not for you going to Poland. Were they open to you going to art school? Was that something that was acceptable? Like when you told them what you wanted to do, were they like, go do it? Or
my mom was. I feel like because she maybe, I don't know, maybe she believed in the American dream, because like she was more supportive of my dreams. My father, on the other hand, not so much. I mean, he's thought I was very good at what I do.
yeah.
But I think he's more like practical, like logical thinking, where he's like, why can't you do something more, like nursing, something like that?
Yep. I totally get it. Both the Filipino culture is like very much like that. Like get a practical job, one that makes sense. My dad's an engineer, but he's an artist also. He played guitar. He had a ponytail growing up, so he was always like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Or the other way, like my mom was like, get a reasonable job. My dad was like, do what makes you happy. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go to media school. Like,
Yeah.
I guess I'll do that. Which is weird because I'm like, oh, I went to school, and then the jobs out there are not great salaries.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to school in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go for animation or 3D, or like what did you go for?
I went for school for 3D animation and VFX.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the big dream, and what has that evolved into now?
I think my dream at the time when I was going to school was, I'll work at a video game like company, or maybe eventually get hired by Pixar or Disney, or one of the big companies.
Yeah.
I mean, the dream now is kind of changed. I mean, I would still like to have a chance to work in the video game industry, but I know it's not really female friendly. It's very dominated. I mean, just my industry in general is male dominated, but it's more so in the video game industry. So right now it's just more like I'm just trying things out. I still would really like to go into something that's between creative and kind of like programming, like kind of like VR.
Okay, so like it's a male dominated industry, but women got to break into it at some point. Like, are there avenues for you to sneak in? Are there back doors? Are there side windows? Like, because I've noticed you're doing some fashion content too, which really intrigues me. I'm just curious. I'm like, how you are making yourself different in the market, and how you're like showing up for yourself and for the other young women or non-binary people who see this industry as not attainable, because you're doing it, like, we can dive a little bit more into your consulting business and your business, but what are you doing to make your stamp?
Well, I'd say the key thing is to be bold and assertive. Until the last company I was with, I was never I was always the only girl in the group or the team. Like even in school, for the longest time, I was actually the only girl in my class until literally my last year.
Then the next girl came and you were going out.
Yeah, but luckily, I feel like at least in my personality is that I've been told I'm a little masculine. I tend to be a little masculine, so I'm easy to take charge. Good. So like when it came to my class, one thing I did notice is that I will like take charge. Like I was the one, like I was trying to do class trips for everybody. And then like in the workplace, I remember with one company I was with, I was like only 6 months in, but already I was taking over, like one of my leaders had to go for vacation and I took over all the commercials on my own. So yeah, it's just being bold, assertive, and not afraid to speak out.
Yeah. I feel like that's like it might, I feel like the world marks that as masculine, but I feel like that's a very feminine thing. Like you're taking charge of the environment that you're in, you're mothering the situation, you're doing it in a way, you know, I feel like I know so many women and women leaders who are like, this is my masculine side, and they talk about their leadership as if it's masculine because that's the only thing we've been kind of programmed to understand leadership to look like. But I feel like you walking into a space, owning it, being the only female there and being like, we're going to do this. We're going to have fun. I'm going to take over. Like I do that all the time. And I used to think it was a masculine trait, but now that I'm like leaning into my feminine energy, I'm like, there's so many women out there that walk into spaces and just own that shit, which is awesome. And I'm like, this is not masculine. It's just leadership. It's just leadership. And you're a woman being a leader in a male dominated space, which doesn't equal you being masculine. I'm not calling you out. I'm calling out the whole general conversation because I hear it all the time. It's like, oh, my masculine energy, my testosterone, my this, my that. But I'm like, that could be your estrogen talking. Your estrogen being like, we're going to make it ride.
Yeah, I never heard of it like that. But you really put into perspective for me. Like I didn't hear like no one, never anyone terms it like that. Like is like mothering. They have always like I actually it's funny that you mentioned that because you know how there's like a lot of talks of with celebrities or famous people where they're like about taking charge, about women taking charge, and some women have been called B. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but like I actually had a girl tell me before because I was more like, you know, I'm more like if I'm gonna if to take charge is to make things happen. Like if no one takes charge, nothing's going to happen, and people have to understand that. And I remembered one time I was with my friends and like some friends, and I wanted us to go to Chicago, so I was actually planning it out, making the decisions. And then there's this new girl, and she's like, "Wow, you're really bossy," and I'm like, no, I'm not being bossy. I'm just like, I'm taking charge because if I don't take charge, this trip is never going to happen.
Yes, 1,000%. I feel like the word bossy is just as bad as the other word that you were going to say. It's just as condescending. It's just as rude. You would never say it to a man. I feel like I've been in so many scenarios. So I have been managing teams since I was like 16. So I was working at a smoothie shop, and it was like I was pulling a double shift, and my general manager called me on the start of my second shift. He's like, "You want to be a manager?" I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Go to the back, grab a shirt. You're the manager now." That's how it went down. So I didn't have a lot of training, and in my later years working in restaurant, I became a shift leader and a manager while I was in school, while I was in a sorority, while I was playing sports. But I was working 30 plus hours a week as a manager. And we had this huge general managers and like shift leaders meeting filled with men. The regional manager was a man, and there was like a couple women scattered throughout, but he called me out and he was like, "Your guys' numbers are doing great. You're blowing the catering sales out of the water, this, and that, all of this like positive stuff." And then he said, "It's because you're kind of a bitch and you run a tight ship." And I was like, you could have just said, "You run a tight ship." You could have left. And I made a face at him. And mind you, I was like in my early 20s. I was like, he was like, "You know what I mean? Not like the bad way, but like the good way." And like that moment was like, felt so embarrassing. I felt so like ashamed. And also I'm like, am I bitchy? Like, am I rubbing people the wrong way? Am I leading them badly? Am I leading them in an abusive way? And I like really young Amanda was like, "Oh my God, am I this person?" And I've got this a lot throughout my life. "You're bossy, you're this, you're that." And as a young person, take that offensively. But as an older person, I'm like, oh, they just don't know how to say I'm a good leader as a woman. Like, it's sad. It's sad. But I do believe that like women have their way, and it's very feminine, even if it's stern or plain or black and white or assertive. It's still all feminine if it's coming out of your body, you know, and women take charge all the time. Like I know some amazing women leaders that if they were a guy, nobody would blink twice or call them any B word, bossy, bitchy, all of those things. So lean into that, because if that's coming out of you naturally, even as a young person, and people are calling you all kinds of names or whatever, they're just not good at being led.
Yeah, it's okay.
You know?
Yeah, like I already accepted it in university. I was just like, yeah, I'm just like how I said about the girl where she's like, call me bossy. I'm like, and I actually told her up front, I'm like, well, if I'm not gonna take charge, I have to take charge if this trip is not gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
So
I get it. And I've since learned that you can even pour more feminine energy into leadership, and it breeds an interesting result, you know, like where I'm at Bamboo right now, we met there. Like I'm experimenting with my leadership style and pouring a lot of feminine energy into it. And I see it come out of my team members in a very like, I hate the word like corporate family. Like that is not I don't like pushing that and impressing that upon people, but they call me their big sister. They call me family. I'm not pushing it on them as their leader, but they're like, this is just my big sis. And that's the energy. I'm like, that's the energy I want, because I don't have to boss you around. I can give you the vision. I can give you the goal. I can go in the right direction, and then let you manage yourselves. But women are amazing leaders, and we okay.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving wouldn't be possible without the women leaders in our family. Okay. Christmas, all of that stuff, all these holidays that are coming up would not be possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll bring it back. Okay. So you wanted to be an animator, and now tell us a little bit about what you're doing in your business, because I know you recently made some changes.
Yeah, I mean, since as of July of this year, I actually started full-time freelancing because unfortunately I was let go of my past job. I mean, I was always freelancing, but it was more like project-based. I wasn't trying to push freelance projects. Most of the projects I was doing was for nonprofits.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so I started full-time freelancing in July, and then it started to actually really pick up last month after I did a presentation. So a lot of the business I get, for example, are from like chambers of commerce. That's where you can regularly see my face, honestly. Yeah, so I go like probably like 3 times per week, honestly.
Chamber meetings, are you like just going all over or what?
Going pretty much all over. Like you see, I'm always at the events at Bamboo.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to like every event that's usually in the area, I'll go. Of course, based on if I'm able to, but I try my best to do it. And that's primarily where I get my business from. Yeah, I'm trying to change it more to getting jobs from like Instagram or like Upwork, and that's a process. That's, of course, it takes time. So, but that's where I'm trying to build it up next.
So I want to talk about the chamber work, and then I want to transition to like getting work online. So how is it that you're getting business from chamber events? Like, are you going and pitching yourself? Are you building connection? And a lot of people, I feel like a lot of young people don't really utilize the chambers.
Yeah.
It feels like an old school thing. It feels corporate-y. It feels like a little like not the vibe that most people want to go towards. But I'm now in my current role learning a lot about the chambers and who they're looking for. They need young people. Tell me a little bit about your experience with different chambers.
Yeah, of course, like you said, like a lot of young people are afraid of approaching chambers. I'm actually one of the few young people who go to the chambers. But it is a good opportunity. how I do is actually I build the connection, and I don't pitch myself to people pretty much at all. You never hear me be like, hey, I could do this for you. Of course, if they bring it up, then I'll be like, hey, if you need help with this, I could do that for you. And then I'll show them like examples. But I don't want to come off as a pushy salesman. And I do also take sales training. Also, I'm going to put that out there. I do take sales training.
Amazing.
But like how you do it is just build a connection. Like, people don't want to work with people they don't know. That's a fact. They want to work with people that they can trust. So, and if you're creative, a lot of the chambers don't have creative people.
Yeah.
And like I said, also not a lot of young people. But if you go to the chambers as a young person, you'll actually make a really good impression on the other people, because they're like, wow, here's a person who's really striving. They've told me like quite a few times, like, wow, they told me like, hey, you're going to be successful when you get older. It was a great compliment. Yeah, because they're like, we can see that you're really striving, and you work very hard at what you do. So yeah, it's just an impression and building that connection and building that relationship.
I love it. And how do you pick your chamber? Like, for people that are not in Michigan, because I feel like, at least in the metro area, we have a lot of like very strong chamber presence. Which, if you've never gone to the Southfield Chamber events, have you ever gone?
I haven't. Usually I go to like Royal Oak, Hispanic Chamber, Birmingham. Which one?
Troy. I feel like Troy.
I heard Troy is good. And I'll tell you why I said that. It's because I choose chambers based on how interactive they are and about who is in their chamber, basically.
Ooh, okay, let's talk about that. How do you figure that out? Like, as if I'm another freelancer watching and I'm like, okay, chamber market, let's tap into that. What would you do as a newbie? Like, how would you find the chamber? How would you identify the people? Like, what does your process look like?
Yeah, looking at the businesses in the area. So, for example, Troy and Birmingham and Royal Oak, they're very busy areas. Initially, actually, I joined the Birmingham Chamber. That was the first chamber I joined. Reason why is because there's a lot of people who have money. So that's why I went there in the first place.
Yep.
That's where a lot of the people who, if they, they'll have the money to spend. They have a lot of startup businesses. There's also some brands there. Like, I know there's Orange Theory in Birmingham. There's Equinox recently opened up in Birmingham too. So that's a good opportunity. They also do quite a bit of events, but not as much as like Royal Oak. Royal Oak is also, a lot of startups. There are some brands there. But yeah, they have the most, like, I think out of all the chambers, they have the most events.
Okay. That's interesting to know.
Mm-hmm. So, and it's like I said, it's about building that relationship. So the event thing is important. It's important also to show your face. So even if the event is at like 8 a.m., which some are, or like just show your face and just try like making friends, basically. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make business friends. So you're there just to meet people and build that relationship.
I love it. It's like frequenting a bar, except it's at 8 and you're drinking coffee.
Yes, exactly. You're drinking coffee, sometimes wine. They do have like events.
Wine, sometimes mimosas. But I love that. Like, just from getting people familiar with you, getting people to see you. So by the third, fourth time they interact with you, they might finally ask, like I feel like at chamber events, people start with like, what is your business? What do you do? It's very like, they start that way, but by the fourth or fifth meeting, they're going to be like, what do you really like? Maybe, that might happen even sooner for a lot of people, but it's like, tell me about your life. Who are you? Let's go grab coffee. Let's go have a lunch. I feel like that happens. And it's not the chamber events that are special. It's that let's go have coffee. Let's go have lunch. That happens at the chamber meetings. And then it takes it outside of the chamber meetings. And then you're making all of these friends, so they're advocating for you when you're not there. You
Yes.
know, when somebody's like, I need a 3D special effects artist, they're gonna be like, oh my God, call Victoria.
Yeah.
She's the one. I know someone. Even if they can't be the one to hire you. And that's why I think all, like, not necessarily just the ones with money are valuable. I feel like it's kind of across the board where if your name is in the room, especially in an industry like yours, I feel like there's not a lot of people walking around the Metro Detroit area that I know of going to networking events like chamber events saying, I do XYZ, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of young people coming, you know? That's you know, hopefully that changes. Hopefully this conversation sparks a bunch of young people to go, you know, but I think that's a really, really smart of you to do that. And I think I just went to my first Southfield Chamber event 2 weeks ago, and it was awesome. Like it was very diverse. That's a big thing for me too, is like diversity, which love Royal Oak, but I know that sometimes there's a lack of diversity. I know that they're doing things and launching initiatives to change that. But like the Southfield Chamber was jumping. It was very, very diverse. The type of businesses that I was meeting and the type of people I was meeting, like all different kinds of people, different styles of business. There was a lot of creative people, but there was a lot of corporate people. I mean, and Lawrence Tech is right over there. So they sponsored, I think like they had a whole bunch of amazing sponsors, which was really beautiful to see. It was a grand opening for a new event space in Southfield called the Event House Michigan. Shout out to them. But like, it was fun. It was really, really fun. And I'm leaning into that chamber experience too. And I never did before. I was like, I would see chamber stuff in my previous role and I'm like, that's work. I don't feel like going.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, it's just cool people trying to meet other cool people. They just are, instead of going to the bar, they're going to the chamber things because they probably have a business. Like it
it's
makes
more corporate. Yeah.
It's more corporate. It's more not necessarily transactional, but it's not like people aren't there to like take you out on a date. They're not trying to take you, they're there to make connections and build their business and grow and hire people, So I think chambers are an amazing avenue. Okay, so how has the Instagram and Upwork experience been for you? Like, what are you doing there to generate business?
Well, everyone knows, I hope everyone knows Upwork is a website where you can basically be a freelancer, say, hey, I do XYZ, and this is how much it costs. So for Upwork, actually, because it's hard to actually, when it comes to any freelancing website, it's hard to actually get jobs. And the reason why is because you need to show that you are, like I said, you need to basically build a relationship with the website. You need to do, unfortunately, a lot of crappy jobs just to get reviews. So everyone is like, wow, isn't she great? So
right.
Right now with that process, I'm trying to do like a shortcut because I really don't want to take the crappy Upwork jobs that pay only like $10 for like something. I'm offering anyone who I do a project with, I offer them 10% off their next project if they leave me a review on Upwork.
Nice.
So that's how I'm getting reviews for Upwork. I did have
clients from Upwork specifically, or these external clients. They are saying 10% off your next if you go to Upwork and
external. I haven't been hired from Upwork yet so far. I'm starting to get those reviews in, so I look more friendly. I did get a few inquiries on freelancer.com.
Okay.
And freelancer.com is like similar to Upwork, except it's more like local.
Oh.
So I did have someone from Rochester Hills reach out. So I'm trying to build that relationship with him and be like, hey, I could do, what you need. He said something about like filming and like editing. So I was like, yeah, I can do that. And then Instagram, I did have, because I do a lot of reels, usually from Instagram, what I've been getting so far is more people wanting to know if I do courses, and also about can I do some videos for them, like reels, like shout outs to them. Yes, I do courses.
Tell me about your courses. I was going to ask, do you do courses? You should definitely.
Yeah. So actually, one of the people that approached me on Instagram was a startup called Growy. So Growy is an app. It's similar to like TikTok, but you can actually learn stuff. It's more like specialized for learning. Cool. And I'm one of the few 3D people on the site. And I have one course that is launched right now. It's a beginning, it's fundamentals of Cinema 4D, which is a 3D program. And soon I'm hoping to launch, it's called Redshift. Redshift is a rendering plugin for Cinema 4D. And makes the render look more like photogenic and more high quality, but you basically do it in a certain way. And it is rather difficult. So that is the next course that I'll be launching on Growy soon.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Have you thought about doing like a women's only workshop? Like,
I think someone did mention it, like if I could do one. Yeah. So far I did two presentations, and one was with Oakland Thrive. And then the other was at the Birmingham Chamber.
I love it.
So starting to go in there, like do more presentations. People seem to like it. Like that's the feedback that I got on. One feedback I did get was like making a more older person friendly. So they were like, please like print out like a worksheet, like a basically.
Really? Put your VR headset on and watch it, please.
Yeah. I actually was like, in the beginning of that one presentation with Oakland Thrive, I was like, okay, if anyone has not used Instagram, please raise your hand so I know. And then, some people did raise their hands. I'm like, okay, who here knows how to like, make reels and stuff like that? Just they came here from like creativity, how to actually make a good reel. And then some people raised their hands. I'm like, okay, help out. I'm only one person. Go, please help out the people who are.
Yes. Like we're gonna group resource this. We're gonna crowd share.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm just gonna come around the room, and if you have any questions, feel free to grab me.
I love it.
That's how I did the first Oakland Thrive presentation. But we're hoping to do one next year. And actually, a Michigan Chamber asked me to do one as well.
Yay! Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Did I tell you about Black Tech Saturdays?
You did, yes.
You should definitely check them out. They're like, I want to say like it's a networking community, but they definitely have like the size and the attendance that you're looking for. Like these are all, it's if you're looking for young creative people in tech, like that is where you want to go. And all of the VCs, like venture capitalists, investors, people who are looking for young people like you also go. It's called Black Tech Saturdays. It's definitely focused on the Black creator and entrepreneur, but it's not limited. And so like, it's just a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful community. And I feel like you might get a lot of really good connections there. Like other people that are in your industry and just meeting them in the city, and or people that are like ready to hire someone like you. And it's really cool. You should definitely check.
I really wanted to go to that event.
Yes. They're scaling back because they're getting asked to go around the country. So they're doing a Baltimore one.
Oh, really? Wow.
I think like people outside of the US have reached out to them. So I'm like, but they do their events at New Lab in Detroit. And I feel like that might be a really good space for you to hang out in. Like they're all about the innovation tech. They have a lot of machinery, but they also have a lot of resources and infrastructure for people in industries that are like taking over the world, like animation, TV, special effects, VR, AI, all of that stuff. They're there to build that stuff. Like they have robots running around, just like autonomous robots.
Oh, really?
Who are like working on, like, isn't it? Yeah, it's very cool. You should definitely check out New Lab. You should check out Black Tech Saturdays. Femology just launched over there. So it's a female focused program for women founders. So that also might be a good place for you to just hang out. So yeah, lots of really cool things just in Michigan in general. Like I feel
Yeah.
like, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like Michigan is like, it's always had a really strong pulse and a really strong culture and a really strong community, especially in Detroit. But I feel like right now, like, you know, when like your heartbeat is racing and you can feel your like veins pumping, like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's how it feels here right now. It's like
Mm-hmm.
everything's.
Yeah.
I'm doing
Especially
this, but it's off camera.
especially in like downtown, I feel like,
Oh,
because yeah, it's definitely been, you know, picking up all the artists have been renewing all the buildings pretty much. And
I love it. I love to see it. We love to like pay these artists, pay artists for their work. Like
mm-hmm.
I won't ask you for anything until I have the budget because
Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, you have mentioned that you're working with someone that's helping you find gigs. What's going on with that?
Oh, yes. That was from actually the speed networking event that was at Bamboo. Uh,
Yay!
yes. It's so I don't know if you remember. It was the recruiter from uh, Jason. Jason.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yes.
Yes. I'm horrible with names. I'm like so recently I've been working with a lot of people with the J name. But yeah, Jason. So he is a recruiter, and he primarily works with like programmers.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm his first like 3D person, like artist person, and he found it as a good opportunity because like he also has like clients that could use, you know, better graphics pretty much. So recently what we've been doing was like pitching to them. And actually I made some reels, like two reels for one of the companies where to show them what is possible.
Yeah.
And I did show a few people what they look like. I actually posted one on Instagram, but I didn't tag the company. I mean, you could kind of tell if you know what, like, yeah, it's based on the product, you could tell the place.
Okay. Got
But
it.
yeah, so yeah, just to show them what's possible, pretty much.
And what is that experience like you as an artist and a creative person, like having someone who's more on the sales and the business ops side helping you been like?
Mm-hmm. It's a relief. It's a relief because then I'm like, and I hate having to worry about bringing people in.
Yeah.
I'd rather focus on the work.
Yeah.
So I always idealized like having someone who's willing to do the sales and I'll just produce the work and make the work. That's where, anyways, my focus should be on, anyways, is making top-notch work, not worrying about the people and the sales and the money. I hate having to focus on that. It's not where I want my focus to be.
Absolutely. And if you were starting out, or if you were you 6 months ago before you met this person, how would you suggest someone go about finding someone to do that? And also like trusting that they have the best intentions. I know this is like a new experience for you, but I'm just kind of curious.
Well, one thing that I have been doing was just reaching out to a lot of recruiters.
Okay.
Recruiters basically will be your best friend, especially if you're freelancing, because that's how you get the contract jobs, or like even sometimes project-based, jobs as well. And you never know like who they know. Like for example, I also have reached out to someone from Robert Half.
Okay.
So, you know, Robert Half is a big recruiting agency. And I mean, I'm sure that they have other 3D people, motion graphics people in their repertoire, but I told her specifically what I was looking for. And I was like, I'm looking specifically for remote jobs, or if it's in California, it's hybrid. So we'll see. And of course, it takes time, but at least I put out there what I want, what I'm looking for, and they know that. So at least I'll be in their thoughts, in the back of their head.
I didn't even think as a freelance entrepreneur, business owner, to go to recruiters. That didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
So like when I think of recruiter, I just think looking for a full-time job. Not
No.
like I'm an entrepreneur creative looking for part-time projects or like short-term projects or whatever the case may be. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, a lot of companies, they don't want to hire people like me full time. I don't know why. Well, maybe they think it's a waste of money, or I don't know. But a lot of them, like especially when you're looking on LinkedIn, they're looking for 1 year for potential for full time, or like even like there's some people I've seen them looking just for like a few days, maybe because someone's on parental leave.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, and maybe like they're just so busy, especially during holiday times. They get in summertime, very, very busy time. So they need people, even if it's just for a short time, and the
Interesting.
best people to get in contact with, because they who they actually reach out to for help to find placement for those projects are recruiters. So that's why I said like it's go to recruiters, because they'll keep you in mind and they'll have you on a list, and then they'll call you up when they need you.
Wow. That's like mind blown. Like, I guess I knew that in the back of my mind, but like generally speaking, I think recruiter, 40 hours a week, full-time position. Okay, so like, have you gotten any jobs from these said recruiters, and what have they been like? Are they like short-term, long-term?
So far, no. Like I said, I've been doing this, full time since basically July. So things take time.
Yes.
But like I said, we have been pitching at a lot of companies. So I'm sure, I'm hoping next year, like I'll at least like get a few in. But usually, anyways, that's how I would get my jobs, like full-time jobs, was through those type of recruiters. Or even sometimes some recruiters would just reach out to me and be like, "Are you available?" And I like, it's funny because whenever I feel like I start a job, like a full-time job, or that's when recruiters more often will like reach out to me and be like, it's always at certain times of the year, and they'll be like, "Are you available?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm not anymore." Um, but yeah, so you can't go wrong with recruiters.
How do you know it's a good recruiting company? Like, do you just do your research on the company? Do you just like get a vibe? Like, how do you know?
Both. Like, one thing that I started to really look at more is Glassdoor. So I
Okay.
checked the review, and I told myself I will not accept anything less than 4 stars. Before, I was more like willing to be, if it's on like 3 stars, then it's okay, it's manageable.
Right.
But recently what I've learned is like nothing under 4 stars. I will not
Yeah.
accept anything less.
I mean, and you're not going to provide anything less than 5 stars, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're going to provide a high quality product and service and experience, and you should be working with companies that are going to also do that. So I love that. Oh, that's so good. I never thought of that, and I'm going to tell everybody about that. Like, go to recruiters. Duh. I have a lot of people in my network that are starting off freelancing, and they're doing the networking thing. They're going to stuff, and they're constantly going, and they're burning themselves out because they're, not necessarily like extroverted, but they have to be extroverted for their company to be
Yeah.
thriving, because they're not at a point to hire someone yet. But a recruiter is like,
The best person.
I can't believe I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Oh, my
It's like a Frenchman. So they could do the sales, they can do the contract, and take care of all that stuff. And then at that point, it's just, can you do it? And then like, here's the dates. Done, pretty much.
I wonder, like, do they do this for all kind of industries, or is it just like project? Do you think it's just project based industries?
I'm not exactly sure. But I think more so for like, and I'm not exactly sure. I can imagine it'd be for all industries, because like, every industry is going to have people who go on parental leave. Maybe they just need someone for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So I can imagine for all industries.
That's so, I can't believe I never thought of that. Okay, so what's on the horizon for you? What's coming next? What can we expect?
Well, right now I'm actually trying to land a contract with this freelance group called Alive Coverage.
Okay.
One of my friends, and he's also my mentor, he actually works with them. He's part of the group. So he's been telling me exactly what to work on and what things to show so he could present it to them. That was one reason why I was in LA this past week. And then I'm hoping to go again in January to give it another shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's what I'm aiming towards. And once I get that contract, basically, then I can work on all of like the big companies.
Yeah.
Alive Coverage is a freelance group that does a lot of events for like music festivals. So they do the Lollapalooza, they do Coachella. At one point, they did do the presidential inauguration and stuff like
Wow.
that. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So if you see, huh?
I said, what a wide range.
So if you see any videos where it's like, especially when it's a music festival,
Yeah.
and you see something like, oh, that's so cool, most likely it's them.
Nice.
Yeah, like right now I know that they're at the F1 in Vegas.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're doing the videos for that right now.
That is so cool. I hope you get it. I hope
Thank
you
you.
get it.
That's my goal. Yeah, that's my goal for next year. I'm like,
Beautiful.
January, I must
You will do it. I love it. Okay, and I feel like I made a faux pas earlier. I was like, when I can afford you. And I feel like we've had this conversation before
Mhm.
because you're like, it's not as expensive as you may think, and it's worth the
Yeah.
money. So
Mhm.
before we go, we only have 15 minutes left. It went so
Mhm.
fast. So who is the perfect client? Like, who is looking for you? And like, tell us about the affordability of it. Because I feel like I just thrusted that upon you and I don't even know what your prices are. And I shouldn't have did that. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It's usually because I feel like a lot of people think that these type of jobs are like, or hiring someone who's a creative is like thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm not exactly sure why.
It's expensive.
Yeah,
Like, expensive, which is a good thing.
yeah. I mean, maybe because of like advertising agencies, they usually charge a lot. Like for example, here's a good example. I actually used to make the ads for McDonald's. So McDonald's pays millions of dollars for one contract or like one advertising.
Okay.
But you have to also think like I get paid per hour and how many hours I put into that. Right. So usually that project would take maybe about a week. And that's how much basically, if someone knew me and went straight to me, that's how much it would cost. It wouldn't cost the million of dollars.
Right.
Like for example, basically I had my sister, she has a bakery in Ann Arbor and it's called Enchanted Oven. I did her digital menu boards, and exactly that's what I did for McDonald's was their digital menu boards, the ads. So I basically redid that in her style with her products. So she basically, if you think about it, she got like $1 million project for free because she's my sister.
Can you say the name of the bakery again? Because I think it cut out because I was talking over you. I'm sorry.
No worries. It's called Enchanted Oven.
And where in Ann Arbor are they?
It's not in downtown. But if you look up Enchanted Oven, they have 2 locations now. One is in Ann Arbor, and the other is in Saline, Michigan.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you got an entrepreneurial family.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like me and her are more like, yeah, the entrepreneurs of the family. Yeah.
I love that. Oh, that's amazing. That is wonderful.
Yeah.
I am so excited. I hope that you both are like crazy successul. But for people watching, like, how can they hire you? How would they know they're ready to hire you, and how can they do that?
So ideally, my ideal customer, my ideal client is someone who already has a vision but doesn't know how to, implement that. I've worked with clients who I don't tend to work well with clients who like are like trying to be. Have you ever seen the memes where it's the art director pulling the hands of the designer. I'm not a big fan of that. Some people can work like that.
Yeah.
I can't, because I like having the option. That's why I'm here. Like, that's what my job, like, that why I'm doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
I want to be creative.
Yeah.
So like I that is definitely not my ideal at all. If you just are looking for someone who you can control, and you just don't know how to use the program, I'm not the person for you.
I got it.
Yeah, but like having a vision. For example, I had a client, her name is Marisol, and she is in Las Vegas. She has a startup, like clothing tailoring, and I did her first campaign for her. And she was most wonderful clients, because like she just told me keywords of what she was looking for. She's like, I want something that's like earthy, natural. And the product was bucket hats. So it's like, it doesn't even really like go together. You know what I mean? Bucket hats is natural.
I get it. Yeah, I see.
But like, what I did was that, okay, she wants something more earthy, basically. So I was like, okay, we'll go to Griffith Park and we'll just film there. Like, I took some great shots, and I pieced it together with some like kind of like smooth music. It's more like indie music. And it worked really well. Usually on her videos that she would get like 100 to 600 views on her reels that she did on her own. The videos that I made for her got 1,000 to 3,000, and 80% of her product that was sold was from my videos. And she also got a lot of inquiries if she did other services.
Oh, hell yeah. I love that. And like, at what stage in your business would you say like a client is ready to hire you?
I mean, once you have a product out and you're just like looking to invest in it, that's when look for me.
Yeah.
Because like, of course, I need to get paid too. So but like, the best way to upscale your business fast is through creatives, through videos. You want people to see your work. You're doing all this work, you want people to see it, right? So my job is basically an investment. So like I said, it's an investment. It's not like
it's like, if all of these people are watching and inquiring, eventually these people are going to be buying and purchasing.
Yeah. It's going to take time, of course, for it to upscale, but that's the fastest way to upscale fast, is through videos.
I love it. I love it. If you had to give any advice to young women in this industry, young people in this industry, older people in this industry, what advice would you give them?
In the video industry, well, I'd say just keep on creating. Like, one thing I feel like creatives have such trouble with is that we are so, have trouble putting out our work, because our work is also a reflection of our soul. And a lot of them think that it's not good enough. They don't want to show it because it's not good enough. It's not up to par. But that's the only way you're going to get better, and for people to actually see what you're doing. I've actually, put out work on my Instagram that I was like, I'm not a big fan of this, but I pushed it out anyways, because, to get more views on Instagram first is to interact more, post more. So I would have to post something eventually anyways.
You already did it.
Yeah. And then, like it, as long as it's like final, then why not? Like, why not just show it? You're going to get eventually better. I wasn't the best editor 3 years ago. Like, that's actually when I really started my career, was like 3 years ago. And now like I made stuff for McDonald's. So
that's crazy.
Time.
It takes energy. It takes effort. It sounds like it takes persistence, consistency, like faith that you're walking the path that you're supposed to be walking, and doing it aggressively. I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful that we met, because I feel like had it not been for your persistence and trying to get out there and meet people, we would have never met. I would have been stuck in my bamboo bubble. I'm so grateful. Okay, so how can people find you?
Instagram. I reply faster to Instagram. and email. So my Instagram is actually V Wardia, V as in Victoria, Wardia is my last name as it shows on the screen. And at gmail.com. And then that's my handle for everything. Just look for that. And then it's probably going to show up everywhere.
Tagged in the bottom here. So definitely go into the comments, your portfolios down below as well. So check that out. Some of the work that I've seen, some of the work that you did, amazing. I love the Barbie one.
Thank you.
I love the Barbie one. So good. Somebody actually was asking, like, do you know anybody that does like fashion 3D stuff? And I sent them your page and they were like, their eyes were like glowing. They were drooling. I was like, reach out to her, reach out to her. But I'm so proud of you. I'm so grateful that we met. I'm excited to see what happens for you next. I can't wait to watch the journey unfold. And maybe in a year from now, we'll do another, like a recap and you'll be like, I'm working for all these companies.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great. Awesome.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. And thank all of you for joining us on the Let's Glow Show. My name is Amanda Sweet. We'll see you next week with another awesome creative. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.